Lauren Southern and Britany just completed a video that I thought was an excellent video for everybody to give a listen to, whether you are left-wing or right-wing or moderate. And I want to make a few comments on the enormous amount of topics that you guys brought up. But before I start, I want to apologize for my voice. It's very weak right now. I am going through injected chemotherapy, and these are for 2 or 3 hours, and they do affect my voice, they do affect my writing, but I can speak better than I can type right now because my hands cramp up and so forth. So I chose to make a video of me to share my thoughts about what you're saying. There are 3 items that I think we need to talk about. One is the media, and within that I mean the mainstream media, the Beltway, but also social media. Second is the danger of identity politics. And thirdly, the militancy that enforces political identity to the point where you cannot question or be a free thinker. And I guess the fourth one is that we all need to learn to listen to the other. We all need to learn to disavow the separation of human beings, the separation of community, and the villainization of those who disagree with us. We ought to be able to understand from our heart, soul, and mind what a person who disagrees with us says in order for us to counter-argue. So those are the 4 major areas I want to talk about. I hope I actually remember them. But I also want to talk about those things from the perspective of the Indigenous struggle in Canada. So a lot of my comments may not make sense to our American brothers and sisters, but have patience with me. Okay, the first one is social media. I think the social media in Canada works very hard to be politically correct, and if anything follows a more liberal line where Canada wants to maintain its imperial status by maintaining the dispossession of Aboriginal people from the land and, managing them through the hierarchical system, the Indian Act, and so forth. But that's the real agenda of Canada. I think it doesn't take too much to know that to be true. But there is a whole lot of political correct fallacies called territorial acknowledgement, called the politics of recognition, and so forth. And as a Native person, I'm not really interested in non-Natives saying, thank you Aboriginal people for being dispossessed from the land that I live on. Because these are people who are politically correct, but they're not prepared to give up 1 cent out of their wallet to give up their power or to give up their resources in order to help Aboriginal people. So it's kind of an empty rhetoric. And those are kind of political correct things that I think we rightly have to call out and dig deeper to try and understand the nature of the phoniness of all of those things. Or bringing down statues of Big B or Cornwallis and Halifax. What's that going to do? If anything, that's counter to what we're saying. I'm saying, I should not say we, I am saying that if we remove these statues out of sight, out of memory, and that is not the objective of understanding history on its own terms. What we ought to be doing is building creatively build around the statues, maybe a plaque acknowledging that this one particular thing that Cornwallis did, like the massacring of Aboriginal people, ordering the scalping of the Mi'kmaq people, that's wrong, and we should acknowledge it. But we should also acknowledge that wrong within the context of the overall life. And that's really important to do. So the media is set up to support these politically correct ideas. And by that, they are doing a certain disservice to news objectivity and to the Aboriginal struggle. So the media has a lot to invest in labeling people, and they certainly label the right. And I think those of us who are not right owe it to ourselves, owe it to our brothers and sisters who are right wing, for whatever reason, that we at least need to listen. We have to stop saying, oh, those guys to the left, therefore I don't want to hear them. But those are the precise people we need to hear, the people that do not agree with us. Why? Because we understand their argument. We may have an idea that builds a bridge to their argument, or vice versa. We may also find weaknesses in our own argument that the right is pointing out. That's a good thing, because we begin to understand what we're arguing about. I'm so tired of all the rhetoric, the labels, red flag, white guy, the whole problem of our people is colonization, and now, not colonization process, but a verb, and so forth. So yeah, you're right. Social media and mainstream media are invested in promoting the separation of people through a lack of objective media. As an example, Trump was absolutely right when he's saying that the right-wing group, neo-Nazis apparently, and the left-wing group, Al-Qaeda, somebody like that, both of those people were fighting. Both of those groups were engaged in violence. That we call disagreement. But where the left wing, what Chris Matthews and all them say is that you cannot compare violence from the left because it's a justified violence. It's a justified violence. It's an anger and a violence that has a moral superiority to what they are portraying the right as saying. The right, in this case, simply didn't want to just watch the whole Confederate history erased. That doesn't mean Southerners support slavery. It just means that there's a whole lot more to Confederacy than just the slavery. So, you know, there's a difference here. Social, sort of moral relativity or moral equivalency is one issue. Violence is another issue. I support the idea that the Nazis, of which have very few much support, are on a moral low ground and a ground that we ought to reject, but not through violence, through many other ways. And Laura and Britany, you are doing one of those things for people. You are telling the truth, and that's good. Identity politics. Identity politics is very, very dangerous. It is the minimization, the categorization, and the boxing in of groups based on our membership to a group. I'm an Indian, therefore I need to be demonstrating these things. And if I don't demonstrate that, then I'm a sellout, and then there's all these labels that I'm a deceived Aboriginal person who's bought into the white man values. No, I take the loss and I think. And so I question the rhetoric, I question the narrative building, I question the emerging paradigms that are being created by the academic Aboriginal elite in the country. I'm condemning and I'm against militant politics that says to somebody like Senator Bayard, whom I disagree with, that surely everything in a residential school could be bad. Now we're calling for a resignation. The woman's got an opinion. She is free to be disillusional in her opinion. But she's got that right to be an opinion. She's a senator, and we shouldn't be punishing people for speaking their mind. And in fact, it could be speaking truth to left-wing power, or left-wing warriors speaking truth to right-wing power, or rather, whatever you want to call it. So identity politics is very dangerous. I'm worried about it when I struggle. I see it as a seeds of destruction, of cultural genocide, the back door. Because you look at it in the politics, and you look at the creation stories in our stories. In our stories, we learn about respect. We teach everybody that we humans are connected with all things in the earth. The animals, the plants, the mountains, black people, yellow people, blah, blah, blah. We are connected to the earth, except we're not connected with white people. Now, what's up with that? That is discrimination, that is wrong, and that is a misreading of our traditions. Indigenous, militant, political identity is disrespectful to traditional thinking. And we ought to be having a conversation in our community about it. Finally, god damn, people, start thinking on your own. I know there's too much information on social media. I know that the news is not like Walter Cronkite. It's much more formative and tries to present the news within a political perspective, which is wrong. And it leads people who haven't got the time to think about it to believe certain things about other people, therefore dividing our communities, therefore creating a them, us scenario. That's got to stop. We've got to think for ourselves. You know? Don't let people tell you what to think. If the source comes from a left-wing source and you're a right-wing person, don't prejudge what that argument is. Look at the argument. Vice versa. I am very open to the right wing. And once you get past all of their crazy, you know, F you liberal, you don't know me, you get into some really good conversations once they see that, no, you're not an ideologue, you're a thinker. And so most of us, I think we really need to strive for the middle, the moderate, to see the value of each side's argument, to pull the best arguments together for our country, to build our country, and to build unity, and to build inclusiveness. A lot of radicalism is because people are feeling isolated. In the last video, Lauren and Britany talked about why people are turning to right-wing politics. It's because of the sense of hopelessness. And I feel a responsibility, along with my right-wing brothers and sisters, my left-wing social warrior family, that together we need to remove that hopelessness. We need to find ways to talk, find the middle ground, look for band-aid solutions if we have to. But we've got to move away from this polarization. And Britany and Lauren, you are right-wing people, but you are right-wing people who think, who base your statements on the facts, and you back yourself up with those facts, and you come out with reasonable conclusions. It says you call the crap in society, which is shit, and you also provide ways forward. So with that, I honor you. I'm sorry the video is taking a little so long, and I'm sorry I'm such in bad shape to be sharing my thoughts. When I get better on Monday or Tuesday, I'll write some questions for you. Okay, for now, please look up Lauren and Britany's video. They don't care about your disavowal. And do some thinking on your own. Take care.